you know, there is something profoundly curious, almost paradoxical, about the simple act of wearing headphones in public. Think about it for a moment. You see them everywhere, on the bus, walking down a crowded street, sitting in the corner of a noisy cafe, even sometimes just standing at a traffic light. They're isolated, cocooned, seemingly cut off from the vibrant, chaotic soundtrack of modern life. And what's the immediate, unconscious judgment we often make? We think of them as solitary, as maybe a little antisocial, perhaps even slightly sad. We project onto them a need to escape, an unwillingness to engage with the reality around them, a kind of self-imposed exile. We see the headphones as a barrier, a signal that says, "Do not disturb, I am not here. I prefer the company of my inner world or my playlist to your presence." This is the common, casual interpretation, a quick label we attach to save ourselves the effort of deeper understanding, and it presents a fascinating contradiction. Let me tell you, there's something curious about this, because this very act of apparent withdrawal, this simple choice to put on a pair of noise-canceling cups, might actually be a sign of the exact opposite. It might not be a retreat from life, but a deep, subconscious effort to prepare for a richer, more meaningful engagement with it. This person, seemingly lost in their music or their podcast, isn't necessarily running away from the world. They might be intensely, deeply concentrating on how to best contribute to it, how to manage the overwhelming sensory input to reserve their energy for what truly matters. We see the external withdrawal, the shield, and we miss the internal forging, the intense psychological work being done underneath the surface. This is where the wisdom of Alfred Adler, this profound understanding of how we move through life, offers us a completely different lens through which to view the headphone wearer, transforming the image of the solitary escapist into that of a focused, purposeful individual. The initial observation of the solitary figure, the one who carries their own soundtrack, touches deeply on what Adler called the feeling of inferiority. Every human being, from the moment they are born, experiences this feeling. It is not a flaw or a psychological illness. It is a natural condition of being human. As small, dependent beings in a world of giants, we are inherently incomplete, feeling the gap between who we are and who we wish to be. This feeling is, in fact, the engine of all human endeavor. It's not a weakness to be eradicated, but a powerful motivator. Now, think of the world today, a constant barrage of notifications, forced interactions, mandatory pleasantries, and the sheer volume of information and noise. For many, especially those with a highly active inner life, this constant external pressure exacerbates the feeling of inferiority. They feel unable to keep up, unable to contribute meaningfully, unable to even hear their own thoughts in the din. So, how does the individual compensate for this environmental stress? One way, a modern, simple way, is through the ritual of the headphones. This isn't just about enjoying music. It's a profound, psychological act of boundary setting and control. The person is compensating for the feeling of being overwhelmed, of being psychologically too small or fragile to withstand the crushing loudness of the world, by creating a small, portable universe of their own making. It's an act of courage, not cowardice. It takes courage to say, "I need this space to function," especially when social norms dictate that we should always be available, always smiling, always open to the next spontaneous interruption. This is their striving for superiority, not over others, but from their own felt inadequacy, their push toward a greater sense of competence and mastery over their immediate environment. It's a key part of their lifestyle, that unique, unconscious pattern of behavior they develop to navigate the three great life tasks Adler identified: work, love, and community. The headphones are a tool for optimizing their approach to these tasks, a way of managing their energy so they can actually do the deeper, more focused work they believe is their contribution. This brings us to the fictional finalism, that unconscious goal of perfection or completion that directs every person's life. For the individual wearing the headphones, their private logic might dictate something like, "To be successful, to achieve my goal, I must protect my focus at all costs. The world is distracting and fragmented, so I must create a bubble of concentration to excel." This ultimate, fictional goal, which may be to become a brilliant writer, a thoughtful engineer, or simply a person who lives with profound intentionality, demands a certain kind of environment. The headphones are a physical manifestation of this internal mandate. We often mistake their focus for self-absorption, but in Adler's view, all behavior must be understood in light of the goal toward which it moves. The person isn't trying to exclude society entirely. They are filtering out the superficial distractions to better prepare for the meaningful contributions that define social interests. Gemeinschaftsgefühl. Consider the mini-story of the busy creator. I once met a young woman who was an absolute powerhouse of creativity, a designer whose work was used by global brands. She always wore oversized, bright red headphones, even in the bustling shared office space where she worked. Initially, her colleagues saw it as arrogance, a sign that she thought she was too important for them. But one day, she took them off to talk, and her explanation was illuminating. She said, "I don't wear these to block people out. I wear them to block out the noise that prevents me from hearing what the client actually needs. I have to create a space in my mind where I can hear the subtle details, the unsaid needs, and the creative solutions that are always hidden beneath the surface chaos." Her action, which looked like solipsism to the untrained eye, was actually an intense act of social interest, her commitment to doing her absolute best work for the benefit of the community and the client. This deeply contradicts the common assumption, revealing that the solitary means can serve a profoundly collective end. And now I want to ask you a question, and I need you to be completely honest with me, because this answer is just for you. How many times have you had to invent excuses not to attend a social gathering? How many times have you felt that penetrating guilt because you simply cannot bring yourself to be around people when your soul is screaming for silence? Let me tell you something that maybe no one has ever told you. That feeling you have, that deep need to be alone that makes you feel guilty, flawed, different, it's not wrong. You are not the one who is broken. It's the world that doesn't understand that there are people who recharge their energy in silence, not in noise. And I know you've tried to explain it 1,000 times. To your partner who doesn't understand why you need your space. To your parents who think something bad happened to you. To your friends who think you're rejecting them. But words never seem to reach, do they? Because how do you explain something so intimate, so essential, to people who have never felt it? So, I want to ask you something. If what I'm saying resonates deep within your being, if you feel seen for the first time in a long time, go down to the comments right now and simply write this: I feel it too. Just those 4 words. I feel it too. Because when you write that, when you put those words down there, you are not only helping me understand that this content is reaching those who need it. You are creating a meeting point for all those people who, like you, have been feeling alone in this experience. Imagine for a second that someone else, someone who is going through the exact same thing as you right now, reads your comment tomorrow, or next week, and feels that deep relief of knowing they are not alone. That their way of being is not a sickness. That there is an entire community of people waking up to this same truth. Your comment can be that lifeline for someone who is about to give up, who is about to force themselves once again to be someone they are not just to fit in. So write in the comments, I feel it too. And if you want to share more, if you feel the need to tell your story, this is your safe space. Here, no one will judge you for needing solitude. Here, we all understand. Let's dive deeper into the nuances of this behavior, moving beyond the simple inferiority complex and the surface-level act. What we are observing in the pervasive use of personal audio is a shift in private logic across an entire segment of the population, specifically those who value cognitive complexity and uninterrupted thought. Think of the difference between striving for superiority and striving for perfection. The person with the superiority complex seeks to feel significant by dominating others, by being louder, by making others feel small. They need the noise of the crowd because it gives them a stage. The person wearing the headphones, however, is often driven by the striving for perfection, a commitment to excellence in their own chosen domain. Their goal is not to be better than you. It is to be better than their past self, to realize a higher potential. This kind of demanding, internal work requires an enormous amount of psychology of courage. The courage to resist the easy, the popular, the socially accepted path of distraction and superficiality. It takes a certain fortitude to sit alone, seemingly aloof, while others are engaging in small talk, because you are engaged in the far more difficult, often painful, process of self-reflection and deep work. This leads us to the crucial Adlerian concept of early recollections. When we study a person's earliest memories, we see the blueprint of their lifestyle. Imagine two individuals. The first recalls a memory of playing loudly in a group, feeling energized by the collective chaos. Their lifestyle is built around connection and external validation. The second recalls a memory of sitting alone under a tree, finding comfort and deep satisfaction in a book, only to be harshly interrupted by a sibling. This person's life script is coded with the message, meaningful work happens in silence. Interruption is a threat to my sense of self. For this person, the headphones are not a choice of music. They are a recreation of a protective environment that allows them to fulfill their life task of work or creativity without the fear of that early, painful interruption. The simple act of putting them on is a profound statement of self-affirmation and a protective measure against the psychological pain of feeling incapable of resisting external demands. They are essentially communicating, through a nonverbal signal, their deeply held private logic that their inner world is where their true value lies, and it must be guarded fiercely. The twist, the revelation we must embrace, is this: the person with the headphones on in a crowded space is not the one with the inferiority complex. They are the one who has found a healthy, modern way to compensate for the environmental pressure to conform, thereby avoiding the complex altogether. They are not hiding, they are selecting. They have moved past the initial, crippling stage of feeling small and have developed a courageous strategy to move toward their fictional finalism. The common assumption is that social interest requires constant, open, and available communication, but Adler's concept is much more profound. Gemeinschaftsgefühl is about a feeling of belonging, of being connected to the whole, and acting for the benefit of humanity. The act of putting on headphones, by creating the focus needed to produce a piece of art, write a thoughtful paper, or simply process complex emotions, is, in its own quiet way, an act of social interest. Think of the contrast between private logic and common sense. Common sense says, to be a good member of the community, you must participate in the noise and the small talk. You must always be available. The individual's private logic says, I can only offer my best to the community when my mind is clear and my energy is intact. My greatest contribution comes from my deepest thought. The revelation here is that the individual who chooses solitude is often the one who holds a higher, more demanding standard for their social contribution. They are not satisfied with superficial chit-chat. They want the conversation, the connection, or the work to be meaningful. If they cannot find that meaningful engagement externally, they turn inward, using the headphones as a cognitive tool to generate that meaning, that focus, so that when they finally do engage, their contribution will be truly valuable, a genuine asset to the community. They are, in essence, practicing delayed gratification in the social realm, sacrificing easy, immediate, but shallow interaction for a deeper, more enduring, and more thoughtful future connection. The apparent withdrawal is a strategic investment in future quality. This reflection transforms into a powerful, livable wisdom. If you are one of those people, if the sight of a pair of headphones feels like a welcoming embrace, understand this: your need for space and focused thought is not a character flaw. It is the signature of a soul that seeks depth and meaning in a world that often prizes breadth and superficiality. The practical application of Adler's thought here is simple yet revolutionary. Honor your need for psychological space. Do not feel the guilt that is imposed by the common sense of others. Your lifestyle, this pattern of seeking controlled environments, is a sophisticated strategy for maximizing your personal power, your ability to compensate for the overwhelming nature of life, and ultimately, to make your most valuable social contribution. The true measure of social interest is not how many people you superficially talk to, but the quality of the energy and thought you bring to the interactions and tasks that truly matter. The headphones are a tool for mental optimization, a modern-day cloister for the contemplative mind that is seeking courage to live according to its own private logic rather than being dictated by the fleeting, noisy demands of the crowd. They are a declaration that your inner world, the source of your creativity and your deepest insights, is sacred and worth protecting. So, embrace this powerful boundary. Use that focused time to clarify your fictional finalism, to understand the life script that guides you, and to forge the inner strength required to live a life of profound usefulness rather than mere popularity. The sound you are listening to is not merely music. It is the sound of your true self being forged in the crucible of intentional thought. Look, if you've made it this far, if you've stayed with me through this entire reflection, it's because something in you recognizes this truth. Because you, too, have felt that pressure of having to explain why you need to be alone, why social gatherings exhaust you, why you prefer a silent evening to a crowded party. And I want you to know something important. You are not alone in this. There are thousands of people like you, waking up to this same reality, feeling this same tension between what the world expects of them and what their soul truly needs. This channel exists precisely for you. For that person who has felt misunderstood, judged, pressured to be more social, more available, more like everyone else. Here we explore those uncomfortable truths that no one else dares to say out loud. Here we validate your experience and show you that your need for solitude is not a disease to be cured, but a sign that you are touching something deeper. Every week, I upload content specifically designed for people like you, who are navigating this spiritual awakening without a map, without a community that understands them. We talk about Alan Watts, Eastern philosophy, deep psychology, everything that helps you understand why you are the way you are and how to live authentically in a world that constantly asks you to be different. So if this resonates with you, if you feel that someone is finally putting into words what you've been feeling for years, subscribe to the channel. Not for me, but for you. Because you deserve to have a space where your way of being is not just accepted, but celebrated. Like this video if it helped you feel less alone in your experience. Because every like helps me get YouTube to show this content to more people who desperately need it, who are looking for exactly these answers right now. And if you want to go deeper, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of these reflections. Because believe me, what's coming is even more revealing. I'll see you in the next video, and in the meantime, honor your need for solitude. It's not selfishness, it's spiritual survival.